Hey everybody, today I'm going to be showing you some more advanced Morrowind Console Commands. This is the 2026 version of Morrowind Advanced Console Commands. These are just some extra commands that you might want to use if you are modding and you want to get something specific to work. These are not basic console commands. I made a basic console command video back in the fall of 2025, which was just a couple months ago. This is January, but because we're in a new year, this is going to be the 2026 edition. I'm going to call this even more Morrowind Console Commands. Some of these are a little bit more advanced, but not really, but I just don't know how else to term it. The first thing I want to talk about that I did not mention in my first video, which will be linked in the description, is that the command that you use to move to different locations around the map. I explained how to use this, and the one trick that I showed about specific locations and cities is that you always want to see what is on the door. What is on the door is the console command. So as you can see, COC Vivek Hyping. I'm going to give you another one. Nistus Australian. And I don't think that case sensitive. I haven't noticed anything that's case sensitive. But see, that works. So COC means center on cell. And I didn't mention this in my last video because I don't think I knew that, but I learned that now, is that when you are typing that in, that's what you're telling the console to do. Center on cell, Nisus Australian. That the center of the cell on the back end is not necessarily the center of the cell to your eyes as the player. And I'll show you an example of this. So COC Vivek. This is the center, quote unquote, of the cell that is named Vivek. As you can see, I'm stuck in this rock. And it's hard to get past this rock. And sometimes when you're doing console commands, you'll find that you are ending up in weird spots. And that's because the center of the cell on the back end is not what you would consider the center of the cell when you're playing the game. It's not the center of the city or the center of the building, because the cell doesn't line up with what you might consider the center when you're playing the game. Alright, so this next one's pretty easy. This is the unlock command. And by the way, when you're opening the console, the keyboard key that you want to press is the squiggly line next to the number 1 on your keyboard. I believe it's called a tilde, I'm not sure though. So just press that little squiggly line in the top left corner. It'll open up your console. And for this one, we're going to be doing something a little different. We're going to actually click on the chest or the door that we want to unlock. Just click on it with your mouse. Clicking it will activate it. So you see console, and then it has the item ID. So if you want to undo that, just click it again. And so that's not targeted anymore. But we want to target it. We do that. Unlock. That's it. Alright, so the next console command we're going to discuss is the add topic console command, which is pretty easy to type in, but just a little background on what this is that the Morrowind is a topic-based dialogue system, and in order to have dialogue with an NPC about a topic, you have to be introduced to the topic through some means, either through dialogue, books, or a greeting, are the main ones. But for some reason, there's something that you want to talk to an NPC about, and you don't see it in their options. For example, let me show you. This guy right here, I can't talk to him about Solstein. If I look in this right here, Solstein's not on the list because I don't know the topic of Solstein. I haven't discovered that in the world yet. So if I go into the console, I add topic, comma, parenthesis, Solstein, to make sure I spell that correctly. I don't believe it's case sensitive. I've never had a case sensitive issue with this, but Solstein, and there was no error code that came up. If you can see that when I mess up, I it'll tell you when you fail, and if it doesn't find what you're telling it to find, it'll tell you. So now I talk to him. I can go down here. It's Solstein. I've heard of that place. So very easy. If you need to put a topic ID in, this is how you're gonna do it. This will also work if you're making your own mod and you added a topic and you are trying to figure out if it's gonna work or not. You can troubleshoot by using this console command, because if you added the topic into the construction set on the back end, it should be able to use this console command because you have added that topic to the game. All right, the next two are pretty simple. It's fill journal and fill map. So fill map will add all of the locations to the world. You see all of these areas. If I don't have this command, then they just pop up as you're playing the game and you talk to people and such like that. So fill map, one word, no spaces, will add all these locations to the map. It won't add the texture to the map. As you can see, like right over here with alt rune, you can see a little bit of texture and a little bit of texture in Sage's Mora. I added that by playing the game in the vanilla way. So there's a different command for that, I believe, but the next one is fill journal, and I'm not going to click enter on this because it will take a very long time for this console command to execute, and this is exactly what it sounds like. It will fill your journal with every single journal entry that is present in the game, but it will take a while, so don't be alarmed if you get a little bit of a lag because it'll take the system some time to load all those. Right, so we have a couple more advanced console commands. This is toggle fog of war, and I'm not really entirely sure what purpose this would be used for a modder or a player, but according to the unofficial Outer Scrolls pages, when we use toggle fog of war, we are turning on or off the fog of war in the automatic display. This is useful for taking screenshots of complete maps with no black areas in them. So I'm thinking that this is for the map in the corner, but I'm not sure. So it's fog of war is off. So if I turn fog of war back on, I don't see much of a difference. I don't see a difference in this map either. I've done a little bit of testing on this, so I'm not sure where you see the change in the actual game or the world space. I'm not sure, but if you want to toggle it on and off, you just put this command in. It's not case sensitive, so you can just keep doing that over and over again. The next one is a little different, but one that is helpful when you're making mods. Toggle collision. And if you don't know what collision is, it's basically if a wall is there, you're gonna run into it and stop. So if I turn collision off, I can just walk through everything.
Do you have something to say?
And I can actually walk outside of the space, the cell, and just look at it from a distance. So this is the Tavani Council Hall from a distance. And you can take a look and see what's going on. This is used when people do videos of boundary breaking. So you just turn the collision off and you go outside the space that the player is meant to see. And sometimes there's things left outside of the boundary, and that's why they call it boundary breaking. But if you want to turn this off, you just come back. Same command again, but I'm going to fall right into the ether, and it'll stick me back into the cell somewhere that the player can land. So that's a fun one if you just want to explore the world from a different perspective, or you're working on a mod and you want to see it at a distance. Alright, so these next two console commands have to do with time. So we're going to manipulate the time in the game.
What is this about?
So the first one we are going to do is set game hour 2. Don't forget the 2 space. There's all spaces in here, and we want the more jagged bracket. I'm not sure the technical term for this, but just your jagged brackets next to the P on the keyboard. And keep in mind that the game uses a 24-hour clock, so no AM PM on the back end. So if we want it to be 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we're gonna have to put 13. So now it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So when you look at it in the game, you'll see it's 1 p.m. because 1 p.m. and 13 are the same time. So we'll do one more. So just remember, set game hour 2. Let's try 18 o'clock, which is about 6. And you see how the lightness is changing. We can do 23. Oops, see, don't make my mistake. I used the wrong parentheses at the end, so it didn't work. See, if you want to do midnight, it's not going to be 12, it'll be 0, because in the 24-hour clock, 12 o'clock p.m. is 0. So right now, as I'm filming this video, it is 0:56. 56 minutes, 0 hours. Alright, so the next one is set timescale 2. So this sets the internal clock in the game for how long a day lasts. So the default for a day of Morrowind is 48 real minutes. So from the entire 24 hours in the game is the equivalent of 48 real life minutes. You can manipulate this to whatever you want. I'm not sure what all the values are because the UESP doesn't list them all. The link to their article about this is in the description, but the console commands. So we're gonna do set Timescale 2, same format. But if we want a real life equivalent, we're going to use the value number 1. So if you want a 24-hour day in Morrowind, just as a real life, you will say 1. So now, when I play the game, it's going to be the same as real life. 24 hours will be 1 entire day. If you want 2.5 hours a day, you can set timescale to 10. And that would be 1 Morrowind day is 2.5 hours of real life time. The default that the game sets to whenever you are playing is set timescale to 30. And 30 is 48 minutes. So the default in Morrowind for 1 day in Vardenfell is 48 minutes. So you can manipulate this however you want. I'm not sure all the equivalents to real life, because I'm going off of what the unofficial Elder Scrolls have listed, and of course that will be in the description for you as a resource, but you can manipulate this however you want. Have fun. Alright, so the last console command we have is the change weather console command. So this one, from what I can tell, is a little tricky because it's not automatic. From what I can see, maybe I'm just not doing it correctly, or I messed up that one particular time I put it in, but if you want to change the weather in a region, you have to put this command in. You can see where I put it in just a minute ago, but be careful with this because it goes by region, not city. So if you type in a city like tell boss, it's not going to work because it goes by region. So type in Graceland's region. And what I've noticed is it's usually what pops up when you're exploring. It'll pop up in the corner, Graceland region, uh, Cascadian Isles region. Make sure to put the region word in there to get it to work. Because if I left that out when I was doing this the first time by myself, it wouldn't work. So type in region, put a comma on the outside. So we want change weather, comma, quotations, Graceland's region in the quotation, comma on the outside, space. So one more time, change weather, one word, comma, space, quotation, region ID, so Graceland region. We want to put the space in there in the quotation, comma on the outside, and we have 9 weathers to choose from. Not all of these are going to work everywhere, obviously, but we have 0 for clear, so this is 0 right now. One is cloudy, 2 is foggy, 3 is overcast, 4 is rain, 5 is thunder, 6 is ash, 7 is blight, 8 is snow, and 9 is blizzard. So obviously, blizzard is probably not going to be able to work everywhere. You could try it if you feel adventurous, but I'm not sure if it'll work. Can't guarantee. But we'll do one that'll work where we're at right now. Put 4 for rain. And from what I can see, it takes a minute for this to register. It doesn't happen right away from what I can see. So if I just teleport away and then I like teleport back, it's raining now. So it's not automatic. It doesn't, you don't see the change in the background like you might for some other console commands. So it does take some time for the game to register your command and change the weather. So it's not automatic. Alright, everybody, that's all the commands I have for you today. I've covered a good chunk of the commands between this video and my first video, which was basic console commands. There are some that I have not mentioned, but for the most part, this should cover your bases. If you want to take a look at all of the console commands, I will leave the list in the description below for your reference, and I used that as the reference for this video as well. So that's about all. Thanks for watching, and see you.